Il Santo Padre rivolge ora ai presenti all'ascolto della sua parola e a ricevere la sua benedizione.
Cari fratelli e sorelle, buongiorno. Sono lieto di accogliervi in questa basilica e di rivolgere a ciascuno di voi il mio cordiale benvenuto. Saluto la famiglia vicenziana di tutta Italia. Che ha promosso il pellegrinaggio della Madonna in tutte le regioni italiane, unitamente alle diocesi e alle parrocchie. In questi mesi di pandemia,
Laudetur Jesus Christus, and welcome to this morning's live broadcast of Pope Francis' General Audience for Wednesday, November 24th. We are joining the audience already in progress. A little change in today's audience schedule. The Holy Father is beginning his audience in the Paul VI Hall, where he is greeting several larger groups in the St. Peter's Basilica, where he's greeting a few larger groups that have come to take part in today's audience. Due to the COVID-19 health situation here in Italy and the Holy See.
Imitate l'esempio di questo Santo Pontefice, sforzatevi di comprendere e accogliere l'amore di Dio.
As we begin our live broadcast this morning, I would like to greet all of the collaborator stations that are helping make this broadcast available throughout the world, including Radio Maria, Papua New Guinea, Catholic Faith Network in America, Shalom World TV, Salt and Light TV, at Madarshan TV, EWTN TV, Catholic TV, and Luminous Radio.
Cari fratelli e sorelle, vi ringrazio per l'opera di assistenza e di supporto a coloro che hanno subito.
As we mentioned, the Holy Father is greeting various groups, and we are remarks. Now, the Holy Father began, "Dear brothers and sisters, good morning. I am pleased to welcome you to this basilica and extend to each one of you my cordial welcome. I greet the Vincentian family of Italy, which has promoted the pilgrimage of Our Lady of the Miraculous Medal to all the regions of Italy, together with the dioceses and parishes. In these months of pandemic, your mission has brought hope, making many experience God's mercy. I am thinking in particular of lonely people, of the sick in hospitals, of those living in prisons, in reception centers, and on the existential peripheries. Thank you, because you have borne witness to the style of the outgoing church that reaches out to all, beginning with the excluded and the marginalized. Continue along this path and open yourselves ever more to the action of the Holy Spirit, who gives you the strength to proclaim boldly the gospel." With pilgrims of the John Paul II Association of Bisceglie, of this Holy Pontiff John Paul II, and strive to understand and welcome God's love, the source and reason for our true joy. In communion with your pastors, proclaim Christ with your lives, in the family, and in every environment. The Pope is now giving his blessing.
Benedicat vos omnipotens Deus, Pater, Filius et Spiritus Sanctus. Amen.
The Holy Father also greeted the Italian Association of Victims of Violence, saying, "Dear brothers and sisters, I thank you for your work in assisting and supporting those who have suffered maltreatment and live in distress and discomfort. With your important work, you contribute to building a society of greater justice and solidarity. May your example inspire in everyone a renewed commitment so that victims of violence are protected and listened to. Thank you all for this visit. From my heart, I impart my blessings to families and to your communities." Also present at in the Basilica this morning is an image of Our Lady under the title of the Immaculate Conception. You heard just a moment ago the Holy Father, immediately before his blessing, offered a prayer, inviting the people to join him. And praying the Hail Mary. The Holy Father's greeting a few people here personally in the Basilica of St. Peter. He'll be making his way very shortly to the where he will commence the regular general audience. First, though, stopping to greet some of the faithful who are present in the Basilica this morning. As we mentioned, the Holy Father has changed up a little bit the normal ceremony of the general audience. In fact, he's made accommodations before, especially in these past couple of years where the COVID pandemic is raging, in order to allow him to greet people and still be very safe with people. This morning he began his audience, as you've heard, in the which is very close to the Paul VI, the Basilica.
Mentre ci disponiamo ad accogliere il Santo Padre,
meantime, as the faithful in the Paul VI Hall await the arrival of the Holy Father, there are a few instructions for the faithful. With an explanation of how the audience will progress. The audience is held in 6 different, in several different languages, and so the instruction with Italian, and then the order generally proceeds French, English, German, Arabic, and Polish. This morning, the Holy Father, when the Holy Father arrives in Paul VI Hall, the audience will proceed as normal with the introduction, the liturgical greeting from the Holy Father, the sign of the cross, and the liturgical greeting, "Peace be with you." Then speakers will be reading the biblical passage that the Holy Father will be commenting on. This morning's reading is from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 1, verses 12 through 16. And it's the last portion of the genealogy of it is presented in the Gospel of St. Matthew. The Holy Father has begun a new series of catechesis. He finished up 2 weeks ago with his series of catechetical reflections, letter to the Galatians, and now has been offering a new series of catechesis on the figure of Saint Joseph, the foster father, the legal father of Jesus on earth, and the spouse of the Blessed Virgin Mary. Today's passage, as we mentioned, from the end of Matthew's genealogy of Jesus to Babylon. Jeconiah was the father of Shealtiel, and Shealtiel the father of Zerubbabel, and Zerubbabel the father of Abiud, and Abiud the father of Eliakim, and Eliakim the father of Azor, and Azor the father of Zadok, and Zadok the father of Achim, and Achim the father of Eliud, and Eliud the father of Eleazar, and Eleazar the father of Mathan, and Mathan the father of Jacob. Jacob the father of Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom Jesus was born, who is called Christ. After the reading of the Gospel passage, the Holy Father will begin in Italian. This morning the Holy Father will be speaking Saint Joseph in the history of salvation. The Holy Father will deliver his catechesis in Italian. And after the Italian, again we'll have the different language groups represented. For each of the language groups, the speaker of that language will greet the Holy Father in the name of all the faithful and pilgrims who speak that language. The speaker then gives a brief summary of the Holy Father's catechesis, and those summaries are very similar in each of the various languages, so we don't repeat those. After the summary of the catechesis, the Holy Father addresses a few words to each of those language groups and greets them again in a part. And the speaker will then repeat the Holy Father's greetings by a translation of. Once again, the order follows pretty similarly, where we have French, English, German, Spanish. In Spanish, the Holy Father reads a summary of the catechesis himself, because Spanish is, of course, his native language. And he also greets the faithful in Spanish. After Spanish, it follows in Portuguese, Arabic, and Polish. And finally, the Holy Father will offer a word of greeting to the Italian-speaking pilgrims and faithful. And the catechesis is not repeated because at the end of the audience, he will often address a word of appeal or draw attention to world events or something that is particularly on, or an issue that is particularly on his mind. And at the conclusion of his remarks to the Italian-speaking faithful, the Holy Father, with all of those present, and all of us can join in as well, will say together, chant together, in fact, in Latin, the prayer of the Our Father. And after the Our Father, the Holy Father, Pope Francis, will give us his blessing. The blessing, as is repeated in the instructions to the faithful here, physically present in the Paul VI Hall, but also to their friends and relations, for those that they care for especially to the sick, the elderly, the young, newlyweds, but also to all of those listening in live to this broadcast. So everybody hearing this broadcast live will also receive the Holy Father's blessing this morning, and that will be extended as well to all of our loved ones, and especially the various groups that we've mentioned. For those of you listening in on the radio or by various audio without the video feed, the Holy Father has been making his way through St. Peter's Basilica. After greeting the groups, he took a few moments individually with a few people, also to walk amongst the crowds, at least to touch people's hands, offer them a word of encouragement. And is gradually making his way to the Paul VI Hall, where he will continue his general audience. Once again, this morning's audience began a bit early today, right around 20 minutes after 8, with the Pope, where we had and that decision was made, as we said, to enable people safely to take part in the audience, allowing for social distancing and ensuring that those present are following all the safety protocols that are in place. In particular, in the Vatican Basilica, we saw present parishes, schools, and various groups organized by the John Paul II Association of Bachelier. There were also members of the Italian Association and religious family of Italy. The Holy Father is continuing to greet those present in St. Peter's Basilica. here at the Vatican as around the church is preparing for Advent, which will lead us up to the Christmas season. Yesterday morning, if you were walking across St. Peter's Square in the morning, you would see that the now traditional Christmas tree has arrived in St. Peter's Square. It's the 40th Christmas tree to light up the season in the piazza. And this year's tree comes from northern Italy's Trentino region, where it was chosen in line with the Vatican's policy. The tradition of 1982 by Pope St. John Paul II. This year's tree is a red fir from the Panganella area of the Dolomite Mountains on the Italian border with Austria. It arrived in the Vatican accompanied by certification that it was harvested according to a sustainable forestry project, and also came complete with handmade wooden Christmas decorations. The Vatican Governorate, which has care of basically Vatican City State, is in charge of lighting the tree and has set up a low energy consumption LED electric system for the Christmas tree lights this year. And the St. Peter's Square nativity scene will be officially opened up at the beginning of December, I believe on December 10th. And will remain on display until Sunday, January 9th in 2022. The nativity scene this year was donated to the Vatican by Peruvian authorities and pays tribute to an ancient Andean indigenous people and culture. As we mentioned, the Holy Father is shaking hands with people up and down the main aisle of St. Peter's Basilica, and pausing here and there for a word of encouragement or a brief chat with various people. Occasional selfies. He also has adapted somewhat an old Roman tradition of exchanging hats with the Pope. The Pope, as is familiar to most people, wears a small white headpiece called a zucchetto to bring their own white zucchetto off. Changes the one he's wearing with the one that is brought to him. As you can imagine, that can become very interesting as more and more people become familiar with this tradition. So there are a lot of hats passed around, and Pope Francis has made the accommodation. He doesn't actually switch the hats, but takes the hat from the people who offer it, puts the zucchetto on his own head for just a brief moment, and then gives it back to the faithful as a memento of their visit with the Holy Father. has a fairly busy schedule coming up. The solemnity of the Immaculate Conception is coming up on December 8th. Of course, before that we have the beginning of the Advent season. Then the Feast of the Immaculate Conception on December 8th. And in between those, the Holy Father is planning a 5-day trip in December to Cyprus and Greece.
The Council on International Education Exchange, Rome Study Centre. St. Thomas University, St. Paul, Minnesota. As we prepare to greet the Holy Father,
Recently released the program of the Pope's apostolic journey, taking place from December 2nd through the 6th. On Thursday, December 2nd, the Pope will be leaving Rome for Cyprus, landing at Larnaca International Airport, where there will be an official welcome. He'll then meet with priests, consecrated persons, deacons, catechists, and members of church associations present in Cyprus at the Maronite Cathedral of Our Lady of Grace. Afterwards, there will be another formal welcome ceremony taking place at the Presidential Palace of Nicosia, followed by a courtesy visit to the President of Cyprus, and then a meeting with local authorities, civil society, and the diplomatic corps. December 3rd, in the morning, the Pope will make a courtesy visit to his Beatitude Orthodox Archbishop of Cyprus, and that will be in Nicosia as well, followed by a meeting with the Orthodox Holy Synod at the Orthodox Cathedral of Nicosia. Later in the morning, he'll preside at Mass at the GSP Stadium in the city, while in the afternoon he will be holding an ecumenical prayer with migrants at the Catholic Parish Church of the Holy Cross. So just one full day in Cyprus. The next day, the Holy Father will head to Athens, and after the official welcome at the Athens International Airport, he'll be headed to the Presidential Palace for a formal welcoming ceremony. Once again, very similar schedule. He'll be making a courtesy visit to the President of Greece. He'll then meet with the Prime Minister, and then have an open audience with local authorities, civil society, and the diplomatic corps. In the afternoon, he'll pay a courtesy visit to his Beatitude Hieronymus II, the Archbishop of Athens and all Greece, at the Orthodox Archbishopric of Greece in Athens. Followed by a more formal meeting of the two leaders in the throne room of the Orthodox Archbishopric. Later that day, he'll meet with the Catholic Church community's bishops, priests, religious, consecrated persons, seminarians, and catechists at the Catholic Cathedral of St. Dionysius in Athens. And at the end of the day, returning to the Apostolic Nunciature in Athens, he'll have a private meeting with members of the Jesuit community. The Pope, before he became the Roman Pontiff, of course, was a member of the Society of Jesus. And it's become customary for him to pay a private visit to his community when he makes his apostolic journeys around the world. Pope Francis will be traveling to the island of Lesbos, an identification center in the city, in the township of Mytilene. He'll then return to Athens in the afternoon, where he will preside at Holy Mass at the Megaron Concert Hall. And in the evening, he'll receive his Beatitude Hieronymus II in a reciprocal visit at the Apostolic Nunciature in Athens. The final events of the Pope's visit to Greece will take place on the morning of Monday, December 6th. Pope Francis will welcome the President of Parliament at the He'll later meet with young people at the St. Dionysius School, run by an area of Athens. And finally, the Holy Father will depart for Athens International Airport for a farewell ceremony and his return flight to Rome, leaving at 11:30 that morning. So a busy schedule for the Pope coming up as he prepares for his apostolic journey to Cyprus and to Greece. Meanwhile, returning to today's event, the Holy Father is holding his weekly general audience. As we mentioned, several rather large groups of the faithful who are present today. All of the visitors, they were invited to come to St. Peter's Basilica, which is a space large enough to ensure that all of the COVID-19 sanitary protocols are in place. So the Holy Father was able to greet large numbers of people. In fact, he's still meeting with the faithful, kind of informally as he makes his way through the church. And we'll be moving over to the Paul VI Hall in just a moment. We'll resume our commentary when the Holy Father arrives in the Paul VI Hall.
Jezus Chrystus. W dzisiejszej audiencji udział biorą pielgrzymi z Wiżyn, pielgrzymi z parafii Wniebowzięcia Najświętszej Maryi Panny w Bielawie, Pielgrzymi z parafii Najświętszego Serca Pana Jezusa w Przeczowie. Pielgrzymi z parafii Miłosierdzia Bożego, parafii Podwyższenia Krzyża Świętego, parafii Świętego Mikołaja oraz parafii Zmartwychwstania Pańskiego w Brzegu. Przedstawiciele Stowarzyszenia Polska w Sercu oraz pielgrzymi indywidualni z kraju i zagranicy. I są zde przytomni i poutnicy z Czeskiej Republiki. Są tu przytomni i putnicy z Slovenska. Вітаємо присутніх тут паломників з України. Bardzo prosimy wiernych o pozostawanie na swoich miejscach, zachowanie bezpiecznych zasłaniających usta i nos podczas całej audiencji. Szczęść Boże!
صباح الخير، تحية حارة باللغة العربية إلى جميع المؤمنين الحاضرين هنا اليوم في قاعة بولس السادس، وللذين يتابعوننا عبر شاشات التلفاز ووسائل التواصل الاجتماعي. بينما نستعد لاستقبال قداسة البابا، نطلب من المؤمنين التفضل بمراعاة الترتيبات التالية: يتعين على الجميع وضع الكمامة الطبية، والحفاظ على المسافة اللازمة في التباعد، والبقاء في أماكنكم. شكراً.
Dove sta Sergio? Il mio amico Sergio, dove?
And welcome once again to our live coverage of Pope Francis' general audience for Wednesday, November 24th, 2021. The Holy Father began his audience about 45 minutes ago in the Vatican Basilica and has now arrived at the Paul VI Hall, where he will greet the faithful with a liturgical greeting.
Nel nome del Padre, del Figlio e dello Spirito Santo.
Amen.
La pace sia con voi.
E con il tuo spirito. Vangelo secondo
The
Matteo.
Holy Father opens the audience with the liturgical greeting, peace be with you, preceded by the sign of the cross. And now we will hear the reading chosen for today's audience. From the Gospel of St. Matthew, chapter 1, verses 12 through 16. That's the end of the genealogy of Jesus as presented by St. Matthew. The reading is read in Italian and then several major languages. We'll hear French, English, German, Spanish, Polish, Arabic and Polish. Now we'll hear the French.
De l'Évangile selon saint Matthieu. Après l'exil à Babylone, Jéconias engendra Zorobabel. Zorobabel engendra Abioud. Abioud engendra Azor. Azor engendra Sadoc. Sadoc engendra Hakim. Hakim engendra Élioud. Élioud engendra Éléazar. Éléazar engendra Mathan. Mathan engendra Jacob. Jacob engendra Joseph, l'époux de Marie, de laquelle fut engendré Jésus, qu'on appelle Christ. Parole du Seigneur.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. After the deportation to Babylon, Jeconiah was the father of Zerubbabel, and Zerubbabel the father of Abiud, and Abiud the father of Eliakim, and Eliakim the father of Azor, Zadok the father of Achim, and Achim the father of Eliud, and Eliud the father of Eleazar, and Eleazar the father of Mathan, and Mathan the father of Jacob, and Jacob the father of Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom Jesus was born, who is called Christ. The Gospel of the Lord.
Lesung aus dem Matthäusevangelium. Nach der babylonischen Gefangenschaft zeugte Joachim den Shealtiel. Shealtiel zeugte den Zerubabel. Zerubabel zeugte den Abiud. Abiud zeugte den Azor. Azor zeugte den Zadok. Zadok zeugte den Achim. Achim zeugte den Eleazar. Eleazar zeugte den Mathan. Mathan zeugte den Jakob. Jakob zeugte den Josef, den Mann Marias. Von ihr wurde Jesus geboren, der Christus genannt wird. Wort des lebendigen Gottes.
Lectura del Santo Evangelio según San Mateo. Después de la deportación de Babilonia, Jeconías fue padre de Salatiel, Salatiel de Zorobabel, Zorobabel de Abiud, Abiud de Eliaquín, Eliaquín de Azor, Azor fue padre de Sadoc, Sadoc de Achim, de Eleazar, Eleazar de Matán, Matán de Jacob, y Jacob fue padre de José, el esposo de el llamado Mesías, palabra del Señor.
Leitura do Evangelho de São Mateus. Depois da deportação para a Babilônia, Jeconias gerou Salatiel. Salatiel gerou Zorobabel. Zorobabel gerou Abiúde. Abiúde gerou Eliaquim. Eliaquim gerou Azur. Azur gerou Sadoc. Sadoc gerou Aquim. Aquim gerou Eliúde. Eliúde gerou Eleazar. Eleazar gerou Matã. Macó gerou José, esposo de Maria, da qual nasceu Jesus, que se chama Cristo. Palavra.
من إنجيل ربنا يسوع المسيح القديس متى. وبعد الجلاء إلى بابل يكونيا ولد شألتئيل، وشألتئيل ولد زربابل، وزربابل ولد أبيهود، وأبيهود ولد اليقيم، واليقيم ولد عازر، وعازر ولد صادق، وصادق ولد أخيم، وأخيم ولد أليهود، وأليهود ولد أليعازر، وأليعازر ولد متان، ومتان ولد يعقوب، ويعقوب ولد يوسف زوج مريم التي ولد منها يسوع، وهو الذي يقال له المسيح. كلام الرب.
Z Ewangelii według świętego Mateusza. Po przesiedleniu babilońskim Jechoniasz był ojcem Salatiela, Salatiel ojcem Zorobabela, Zorobabel ojcem Abiuda, Abiud ojcem Eliakima, Eliakim ojcem Azora, Azor ojcem Sadoka, Sadok ojcem Achima, Achim ojcem Eliuda, Eliud ojcem Eleazara, Eleazar ojcem Mattana, Mattan ojcem Jakuba, Jakub ojcem Józefa, męża Maryi, z której narodził się Jezus zwany Chrystusem. Oto słowo Pańskie.
And now we'll hear from Pope Francis with his catechesis for this morning.
Cari fratelli e sorelle, buongiorno.
Dear brothers and sisters, good morning.
Mercoledì scorso abbiamo iniziato il
Last Wednesday we began a cycle of catechesis on Saint Joseph.
Sta finendo l'anno di San Giuseppe.
We're concluding the year of Saint Joseph. Today we will continue this journey focusing on his role in salvation history.
Gesù nei Vangeli è indicato come figlio di Giuseppe e figlio del carpentiere.
And Jesus in the Gospel and the carpenter's son. The evangelists Matthew and Luke, narrating Jesus' childhood, give space to the role of both of them compile a genealogy to highlight the historicity of Jesus. Matthew, addressing himself above all to Judeo-Christians, starts with Abraham and arrives at Joseph. defined as the husband of Mary, of whom Jesus was born, who is called Christ. Luke, on the other hand, goes all the way back to Adam, beginning directly with Jesus, who was the son of Joseph, but specifies as it was supposed. Therefore, both evangelists present Jesus not as the biological father, but as, in any case, fully legally the father of Jesus. Through him, Jesus fulfills the history of the covenant and salvation. For Matthew, this history begins with Abraham. For Luke, with the very origin of humanity. The evangelist Matthew helps us to, although apparently marginal, discrete, and in the background, is in fact a central element in the history of salvation.
Giuseppe vive il suo protagonismo senza mai volersi impadronire della scena. Se ci pensiamo, le nostre vite sono tessute.
Joseph lives his agency without ever seeking to take over the scene. If we think about it, our lives are woven together and sustained by ordinary people, people often overlooked. People who do not appear in newspapers and magazine headlines. How many fathers, mothers, grandparents, and teachers are showing our children to accept and deal with the crisis by adjusting their routines, looking ahead, and encouraging the practice of prayer? How many are praying, making sacrifices, and interceding for the good of all? The man who goes unnoticed, the man of daily, discreet, and hidden presence, an intercessor, a support, and a guide in times of difficulty. He reminds us that all those who are seemingly hidden or in the second place have unparalleled agency in the history of salvation. The world needs these men and these women. The people on the second line who nonetheless sustain us.
Ci sostengono nella strada della vita.
They sustain us with their style of life.
Il custode di Gesù e di Maria. E per questo egli è anche il custode della Chiesa.
Of Luke, Joseph appears as the guardian of Jesus and the guardian of Mary.
Adesso che sei nei cieli e continua a fare il custode, in questo caso della Chiesa, no? Perché la Chiesa è il prolungamento del corpo di Cristo.
And for this reason, he is also the guardian of the church. For the church is the continuation of the body of Christ in history, even as Mary's motherhood is reflected in the motherhood of the church. In his continued protection of the church, Joseph continues to protect the child and his mother. This aspect of Joseph's protection is the great answer to the When God asks Cain to account for Abel's life, he replies, "Am I my brother's keeper?" Joseph, with his life, seems to want to tell us that we are always called to feel that we are the guardians of our brothers and sisters, the custodians of those placed close to us, of those whom the Lord entrusts to us through the circumstances of life. A society such as ours, which has been defined as fluid, finds in the story of Joseph a clear indication of the importance of human bonds.
Trova nella storia di Giuseppe un'indicazione ben precisa sull'importanza dei legami umani. Infatti il Vangelo
Indeed, the Gospel tells us the genealogy of Jesus not only for theological to remind each one of us that our lives are made up of bonds that precede and accompany us. The Son of God chose to come into the world by way of such bonds. He didn't come into the world magically. He came along the historical path, and that's how he came among us. Dear brothers and sisters, I think of the many people who find it difficult to find meaningful bonds in their lives. And precisely because of this, they struggle, they feel alone, and they lack the strength and courage to go on. I'd like to conclude with a prayer to help them, and all of us, to find in St. Joseph an ally, a friend, and a support. St. Joseph, who guarded the bond with Mary and Jesus, help us to care for the relationships in our lives. May no one experience the sense of this. Let each one of us be reconciled with our own history, with those who have gone before, and recognize even in the mistakes made a way through which providence has made its way, and evil did not have the last word. Show yourself to be a friend to those who struggle the most, and as you supported Mary and Jesus in difficult times, support us too on our journey. Amen. It's a prayer to Saint Joseph. That concludes the whole. As we mentioned, we'll now have the greetings in various languages, beginning with French. For each language, the speaker gives a little introduction and instruction. Holy Father then gives a little introduction and instruction for the faithful who speak that language, and then offers a brief summary of the catechesis we just heard. As the summaries are effectively the same in the various languages, we do not repeat them here. However, after the summary, the Holy Father will extend his greetings in Italian to the different language groups. The Holy Father speaks for the most part in Italian. Greetings from the Pope into his own language. And as he does that, we will offer a translation into English of the greetings to the various language groups, which do differ a little bit for each of the languages. So we will have an English translation for that.
Moment difficile. Saint Joseph apparaît aussi comme le gardien de Jésus et de Marie. C'est pourquoi il est aussi le gardien de l'Église, qui est le prolongement du corps du Christ dans l'histoire. Tous ceux qui peinent peuvent trouver en lui un ami et un soutien. Par son exemple, il nous invite à être nous aussi les gardiens de nos frères, de ceux que le Seigneur nous confie à travers les circonstances de la vie. Et maintenant, sa sainteté va saluer en italien les francophones.
Saluto cordialmente i fedeli di lingua francese, in particolare i pellegrini della diocesi di Lione. Il Signore ha messo sul che si sentono sole o che hanno perso forza e coraggio. Dobbiamo saperle riconoscere e con l'aiuto di San Giuseppe diventare loro amici e il loro sostegno nel cammino della vita. Dio vi benedica.
Le Saint-Père vient de dire: Je salue cordialement les personnes.
I cordially greet these French-speaking faithful, especially the pilgrims from the Diocese of Lyon. The Lord has placed on our path people who are suffering, who feel alone, or who have lost strength and courage. We must know how to recognize them, and with the help of Saint Joseph, become their friends and their support on the path of life. May God bless you. We'll now hear the greetings in English along with the summary of the Pope's remarks.
Most Holy Father, the English-speaking visitors and pilgrims present today respect and esteem, and to assure you of their prayers for your ministry as the successor of Peter. At the end of the audience, we will sing together the Our Father in Latin. The Holy Father will then impart his apostolic blessing, which he willingly extends to all and the sick. His Holiness also intends to bless any religious articles you may have brought for this purpose. The following is a summary of the Holy Father's words this morning. Dear brothers and sisters, in our continuing catechesis on St. Joseph, we now consider his important role in salvation history. The genealogies in the Gospels of Matthew and Luke present Jesus as the son of Joseph, and affirm that, while not his biological father, Joseph nevertheless exercises a true fatherhood in his regard. Matthew shows that Joseph, though an apparently marginal figure, is in fact history and the fulfillment of God's promises. This reminds us that we too are called to play our own part, however small, in spreading the saving message of the gospel. Luke portrays Joseph as the protector of Jesus and carries on this role as protector of the universal church, the continuation of the body of Christ in history. The genealogy of Joseph also reminds our often fractured world of the importance of the human ties that precede and follow us. As we seek to strengthen those ties and protect our vulnerable brothers and sisters through fraternal works of charity, let us trust in Joseph's prayers and imitate his humble and loyal role in God's plan of salvation. The Holy Father will now greet the English-speaking faithful in Italian.
Saluto I pellegrini di lingua inglese presenti gruppi provenienti da Inghilterra e Stati Uniti d'America. Particolare saluto i sacerdoti di varie diocesi di Inghilterra e del Galles che celebrano il loro 60° anniversario di ordinazione. Sulle vostre famiglie invoco la gioia e la pace del Signore. Dio vi benedica.
I greet the English-speaking pilgrims and visitors taking part in today's audience, especially the groups from England and the United States of America. In particular, I greet the priests from various dioceses of England and Wales who are celebrating their 60th anniversary of ordination.
And that was a brief musical interlude. New York in the United States.
Upon all of you and your families, I invoke the joy and peace of the Lord. May God bless you.
and the conclusion of the translation of the Holy Father's greetings to the English-speaking faithful. Now we'll hear the summary and greetings in German.
Heiliger Vater, die Gläubigen deutscher Sprache bekunden Ihnen, dem Nachfolger des heiligen Petrus, aufrichtige Verbundenheit, Dankbarkeit und Verehrung. Sie versichern Sie zugleich Ihres besonderen Gebetsgedenkens für Ihren apostolischen Dienst als Hirte der universalen Kirche. Zum Schluss dieser Audienz singen wir gemeinsam das. Danach wird der Heilige Vater allen den apostolischen Segen erteilen. Gern schließt er darin Ihre Angehörigen ein, besonders die Kranken, die Kinder und die älteren Menschen. Zugleich segnet er auch die Rosenkränze und die übrigen Andachtsgegenstände, die Sie dafür mitgebracht haben. Fassung der Katechese des Heiligen Vaters in deutscher Sprache. Liebe Brüder und Schwestern, in der heutigen Katechese wollen wir die Rolle des heiligen Josef in der Heilsgeschichte in den Blick nehmen. Nach dem Lukasevangelium galt Jesus als Sohn Josefs. In diesem Sinne haben die Evangelisten Matthäus und Lukas den heiligen Josef auch in den Stammbaum des Herrn aufgenommen, der die Geschichtlichkeit Jesu hervorheben soll. Nach Matthäus war Josef der Mann Marias. Von ihr wurde Jesus geboren. Nicht als biologischer Vater Jesu dargestellt, gleichwohl aber als sein vollberechtigter Ziehvater. Als solcher kommt ihm eine zentrale Aufgabe im Heilsplan zu, die er in bescheidener Zurückhaltung seiner Person treu. So ist der heilige Josef Fürsprecher und Vorbild für all diejenigen, die im Alltag oftmals von der Öffentlichkeit unbemerkt, aufopferungsvoll ihren Dienst für den Nächsten tun. Zugleich begegnet er uns im Evangelium als Beschützer Jesu und Marias, die er vor der Verfolgung des Herodes bewahrte. Diese seine Mission setzt der heilige Josef über die Zeiten als himmlischer Schutzpatron des mystischen Leibes Christi fort, der die Kirche ist.
Rivolgo un cordiale saluto ai fedeli di lingua tedesca. Scrivere in coerenza e gioia il nostro legame indelebile con Cristo e la sua Chiesa. Egli ci difenda sempre da ogni attacco dal maligno.
Einen herzlichen Gruß richte ich an die Gläubigen deutscher Sprache.
I extend a cordial greeting to the German live our indelible bond with Christ and His Church in cohesion and joy. May He always defend us from every attack of the evil one. The Holy Father himself will offer the summary of the catechesis in Spanish after the greeting and
Los fieles de lengua española
instruction.
que participan en esta audiencia desean presentarle cordialmente sus sentimientos de filial afecto, que acompañan con fervientes oraciones por sus intenciones de pastor de toda la Iglesia.
Again, we will not offer a translation, but we will translate the Holy Father's greetings to the Spanish-speaking faithful afterwards.
Bendecirá también los rosarios y objetos de devoción que los peregrinos llevan consigo.
Queridos hermanos y hermanas, proseguimos hoy con la segunda catequesis sobre San José, referida a su papel en la historia de salvación. Los evangelios, aun cuando dejan claro que José no es el padre biológico de Jesús, afirman que es su padre a pleno título. Su figura a través de las dos genealogías que recogen los evangelistas, Mateo y Lucas, evidencia cómo y de ese modo da cumplimiento a la alianza de Dios con el linaje de Abraham y a la salvación de la humanidad. Además de este valor teológico, José se muestra como esa presencia cotidiana, discreta, escondida, que sostiene a Jesús. Nos enseña que nuestras vidas, como la de Jesús, están sostenidas por personas comunes que nos preceden y nos acompañan. Esos anónimos de la fe. Esas personas tejen con nosotros la historia de nuestra vida. Por esta razón, José no solo es el custodio de la Sagrada Familia, sino que también es el custodio de la Iglesia, prolongación del cuerpo de Cristo, y podemos encontrar en él el sostén, la intercesión y la guía en los momentos de dificultad. Saludo. Los animo a pedir con confianza a San José la capacidad de valorizar los vínculos de nuestra vida, valorizar a las personas comunes que nos acompañan y sostienen, para que nadie se sienta solo y abandonado, y todos puedan reconciliarse viendo en ella la providencia de Dios pese a su debilidad. Que el Señor los bendiga. Muchas gracias.
I cordially greet the Spanish-speaking faithful. I encourage you to ask St. Joseph with confidence for the ability to value the deep bonds of our lives, the ordinary people who accompany and support us, so that no one may feel alone and abandoned, and all may be reconciled with their own history, seeing in it God's providence despite their weakness. May the Lord bless you. Thank you very much. We now move on to the Portuguese.
Que acompanham com as suas orações pelas vossas. No final da audiência, cantaremos o Pai Nosso em latim. Depois, o Santo Padre concederá a bênção apostólica a todos, com um pensamento especial às crianças, aos idosos, aos doentes e atribulados. A bênção objetos de devoção que os peregrinos presentes tenham consigo. Leio agora um resumo da catequese que o Papa Francisco acaba de propor. Os evangelistas apresentam José como o pai de Jesus a todos os títulos. São Mateus ajuda-nos a compreender que a figura de José, apesar de permanecer em segundo plano, é central na história da salvação. Discreto e escondido, foi para a Sagrada Família homem sempre presente, sustentáculo seguro e guia sábio nos momentos de dificuldade. Pais e mães, avós e professores que passam despercebidos, mas são absolutamente necessários no mundo. No Evangelho de Lucas, José aparece como guarda de Jesus e de Maria. Sendo a Igreja o prolongamento na história do corpo de Jesus, José e sua mãe, protegendo a Igreja Universal. Este dado da vida de José é a grande resposta à atitude insolente de Caim, quando Deus lhe pede contas pela vida de Abel. Sou porventura guarda do meu irmão? Rebateu Caim. A figura de José diz que sim, que somos chamados a sentir-nos responsáveis pelos nossos irmãos, protetores de quem se encontra ao nosso lado e que o Senhor nos confia para criarmos laços entre nós. A genealogia de Jesus, há pouco escutada, recorda-nos que a vida é feita, cedem e acompanham. O Filho de Deus, para vir ao mundo, escolheu precisamente este caminho. Pensando em todos os que têm dificuldade em estabelecer vínculos e por isso vivem na solidão, rezo para que encontrem em São José um aliado, um amigo e um sustentáculo. O Padre saúda em italiano os peregrinos de língua portuguesa.
Saluto con affetto i fedeli di lingua portoghese. Domenica scorsa abbiamo vissuto la 34esima giornata della gioventù, tappa nel cammino che ci porterà a Lisbona nel 2023. In questo pellegrinaggio spirituale lasciamoci affascinare dal cuore umile e disponibile verso gli altri di San Giuseppe. e sul suo esempio prendiamoci cura dei legami significativi della nostra vita. Su tutti scenda la benedizione del Signore.
A tradução das suas palavras.
I greet the Portuguese-speaking faithful with affection. Last Sunday we experienced the 34th World Youth Day, a stage on the journey that will take us to Lisbon in 2023. On this spiritual pilgrimage, let us be fascinated by the humble who is open to others. In following his example, let us take care of the significant links in our lives. May the Lord's blessing descend upon all of you. Following Portuguese, we have Arabic.
أيها الأب الأقدس، يسر المؤمنون الناطقون باللغة العربية تعبير لكم عن مشاعر الاحترام والتقدير المفعم بامتنانهم البنوي لقداستكم ولشخصكم ولخدمتكم كخليفة القديس بطرس. في نهاية هذه المقابلة سنرتل معا صلاة الأبانة باللغة اللاتينية، ثم سيمنح قداسة البابا البركة الرسولية لكم ولجميع الأطفال والمتزوجين حديثا والمرضى والمتألمين، وسيبارك كذلك المسابح والأشياء الخاصة بالتقويات التي جئتم بها لهذا الغرض. إليكم ملخص التعليم المسيحي لقداسة البابا فرانسيس. تكلم قداسة البابا اليوم على القديس يوسف ودوره في تاريخ الخلاص وقال: بدأ الإنجيليان متى ولوقا كل واحد إنجيله بلائحة نسب يسوع لتوضيح أصله ورابطه مع من سبقوه مريم. وقدم الإنجيليان يوسف ليس أبا بيولوجيا ليسوع، لكنه مع ذلك أب كامل له. وأوضح لنا متى أن شخصية يوسف على الرغم من كونها هامشية ومخفية وكمن يقف في الخط الثاني في تاريخ الخلاص، فقد عاش يوسف دوره بتواضع ولم يرد قط أن يفرض نفسه في أحداث تاريخ الخلاص. وطبق قداسته موقف القديس يوسف على عالم اليوم فقال: كم يحتاج عالم اليوم إلى أشخاص على مثال القديس يوسف يعملون في الخفاء لكنهم يحرسون ويحمون ويسندون حقا. وكان يوسف حارسا ليسوع ومريم، ولهذا السبب فهو أيضا حارس للكنيسة، لأن الكنيسة هي تاريخ. وقال قداسته: يوسف من خلال حياته يريد أن يقول لنا إننا مدعوون دائما لنشعر بأننا حراس على إخوتنا وعلى الذين يأتمننا الله عليهم في ظروف الحياة. واختتم قداسة البابا تعليمه وقال: من روابط تسبقنا وترافقنا، ونحن في أمس الحاجة إلى العلاقات مع غيرنا لنخرج من وحدتنا. والقديس يوسف هو في هذا أيضا دليلنا وشفيعنا. والآن تحية البابا باللغة الإيطالية لأبناء الشرق الناطقين اللغة العربية.
Saluto i fedeli di lingua araba. Chiediamo a San Giuseppe, che ha custodito il legame di Maria e Gesù, di aiutarci a avere cura delle relazioni nella nostra vita, quel senso di abbandono che viene dalla solitudine. Signore vi benedica tutti e vi protegga sempre da ogni male.
I greet the Arabic-speaking faithful. Let us ask Saint Joseph, who guarded the bond with Mary and Joseph, to help us take care No one will experience the sense of abandonment that comes from loneliness. May the Lord bless you all and protect you always from every evil. Finally, we'll hear the greetings in Polish.
Ojcze Święty, pielgrzymi z Polski i z innych krajów pragną złożyć Waszej świątobliwości najserdeczniejsze wyrazy czci i oddania oraz zapewnić o swojej modlitwie we wszystkich sługą następcy Piotra. Na zakończenie audiencji zaśpiewamy wspólnie modlitwę Ojcze Nasz po łacinie. Następnie Ojciec Święty udzieli wszystkim swojego apostolskiego błogosławieństwa, obejmując nim szczególnie dzieci, osoby w podeszłym wieku i dotknięte cierpieniem. Emocjonalia, jakie pielgrzymi przynieśli ze sobą. Streszczenie katechezy Ojca Świętego. Drodzy bracia i siostry, kontynuując cykl katechez poświęconych postaci świętego Józefa, zastanówmy się dziś nad jego rolą w historii zbawienia. Jezus jest określany w Ewangeliach jako syn Józefa i syn cieśli. Ewangeliści Mateusz i Łukasz nie przedstawiają Józefa jako ojca biologicznego, lecz jako pełnoprawnego ojca Jezusa. Święty Mateusz pomaga Józefa, choć drugorzędna, stanowi jednak kluczowy element historii zbawienia. Józef przeżywa swoją rolę, nie dążąc do stania się postacią centralną. Poprzez jego codzienną i dyskretną obecność każdy, zwłaszcza w chwilach trudnych, może odnaleźć w nim wsparcie i przewodnika. Takich osób, które będąc pozornie ukryte, mają niezrównany udział w historii zbawienia. Natomiast święty Łukasz przedstawia Józefa jako opiekuna Jezusa i Maryi. Dlatego jest on także opiekunem Kościoła, ponieważ Kościół jest kontynuacją ciała Chrystusa w dziejach, a jednocześnie w macierzyństwie Kościoła ukryte jest macierzyństwo Maryi. Przykład świętego Józefa zachęca nas do tego, abyśmy czuli się opiekunami naszych braci i sióstr. Powierza nam w różnych okolicznościach życia. Drodzy bracia i siostry, myślę o osobach, które przeżywają trudności życiowe, czują się osamotnione, brakuje im siły i odwagi, by iść naprzód. Chciałbym przypomnieć im i nam wszystkim, że zawsze możemy znaleźć w świętym przyjaciela i wsparcie. Obecnie Ojciec Święty pozdrowi wszystkich Polaków w języku włoskim.
Saluto cordialmente tutti i polacchi. Domenica prossima inizia il tempo di Avvento, il quale per mezzo di diversi simboli ci prepara alla celebrazione del mistero dell'incarnazione del Figlio di Dio e ci ricorda che la vita umana è un continuo rimanere in attesa. La nostra vita diventa bella e felice quando attendiamo qualcuno. Questo avvento vi aiuti a trasformare la speranza nella certezza che colui che aspettiamo ci ama e non ci abbandona mai. Vi benedico di cuore.
Oto słowa Ojca Świętego.
I cordially greet all Poles. Next Sunday begins the season of Advent, which celebration of the mystery of the incarnation of the Son of God, and reminds us that human life is a continuous waiting. Our life becomes beautiful and happy when we wait for someone dear and important. May this Advent help you to transform hope into the certainty that the one we are awaiting loves us and never abandons us. And I bless you with all my heart.
Serca wam błogosławię.
Finally, we'll hear greetings from the Italian-speaking faith Holy Father gave his catechesis in Italian, but we will have the Holy Father greeting the faithful, and we'll offer a translation of that.
Sincera fedeltà e filiale devozione che accompagnano con costanti preghiere al Signore per la vostra persona e per tutte le intenzioni del vostro universale ministero apostolico. L'udienza nostro in latino, al termine del quale il Santo Padre impartirà ai presenti la benedizione apostolica che estende a tutte le persone care, in modo speciale ai bambini, agli anziani, a quanti sono provati da particolari sofferenze fisiche o spirituali. La sua benedizione è inoltre estesa alle corone del rosario e agli altri oggetti di devozione che ciascuno ha con sé.
Rivolgo un cordiale benvenuto ai pellegrini di lingua italiana. Sono tanti.
And Italian-speaking pilgrims, there's so many of you.
In particular,
I greet the Daughters of Mercy of the Third Order of St. Francis, who are gathered together for their general chapter, and I exhort them to joyfully continue their mission in fidelity to the charism of their foundress, Mary of Jesus Crucified. I greet the former seminarians of the Roman Major Seminary, who are celebrating their 25th anniversary now of priesthood, and I encourage them to be generous servants of God's holy people. And have courage as you advance for another 25 years. Finally, as usual, my thoughts go to the elderly, the sick, the young, and to the group of newlyweds in their wedding garments at the audiences. Next Sunday will mark the beginning of Advent, the liturgical season that precedes and prepares for the celebration of Holy Season of Christmas. I wish each one of you that you might open your hearts to the Lord to prepare the way for the one who comes to fill all our His presence. And to all of you, my blessing. The Holy Father's greetings to the Italian-speaking faithful, and now we'll chant together the Our Father in Latin.
Fiat voluntas tua, sicut in cielo et panem nostrum quotidianum da nobis hodie, et dimite nobis debita nostra, sicut et nos dimitimus debitoribus nostris, et ne nos inducas in tentationem, malo.
The Apostolic Blessing of Pope Francis.
Et cum spiritu tuo.
Sit nomen Domini benedictum.
Ex in seculum.
Aiutorium nostrum in nomine Domini.
Qui fecit celum et terram.
Benedicat vos, omnipotens Deus, Pater et Filius et Spiritus Sanctus. Amen.
Amen.
And at the conclusion of the blessing, we hear the cry, Viva el Papa, long live the Pope, with the applause for our Holy Father. And with Pope Francis' apostolic blessing, the general audience draws to a close. On behalf of Vatican Radio, I'd like to thank all of our partners who help make these live. In particular, we greet and thank Luminous Radio, Catholic TV, EWTN TV, at Marjashan TV, Salt and Light TV, Shalom World TV, Catholic Faith Network in America, and Radio Maria, Papua New Guinea. Thanks too to all of our producers and technicians here in studio who make this broadcast possible. And thanks to all of you for joining us this morning. My name is Christopher Wells. It's been a great pleasure of today's audience. You'll be able to find full coverage of the catechesis along with other Vatican and world news on our Vatican News web portal. We also invite you to visit our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube accounts. This concludes the live-streamed broadcast of Pope Francis' general audience of Wednesday, November 24th, 2021. As always, we can Laudetur Jesus Christus.